Hello, everybody. My name is Tony, and welcome to the next live podcast, next episode. And today we have a very special guest. The name is Danny. He is entrepreneur. He is the agency owner, and he's a founder of Light Entrepreneurial Community. Danny, welcome to the live podcast.
It's thanks, man. It's good to be here. It's thanks for the invite. I look forward to it.
Yeah, and I am so thankful for you. You have time, and we can make this happen. My first question is: do you think the traditional path, school, job, retirement, still works today?
No, I think I did a post about it on X yesterday. I might have. From a young age, we are just completely conditioned, and it's so obvious when you see it. But you're told from a young age, go to school, finish school, get a job, save your money, which is a terrible idea. So go to school, get a job, save your money, buy a house, get married, and, get out of debt. And it just doesn't work. You can do that. You can live a very average life. If you do that, I have no intention of ever leading an average life. It's very mundane to me. For me, I need something that is just constant chaos.
Yeah.
I can't just sit there and watch Netflix. It's just not ingrained in me. I need to be doing something. I need to be making money. I need to be going on vacation. I need to be chasing this. I need to be doing something, because the truth is I'm never satisfied, and I'm okay. I'm satisfied not being satisfied, because I couldn't think, for me personally, I couldn't think of anything worse than just living an average life. And, the school system is an absolute joke. I've always said that, it is what it is. I think it's for the most part, not entirely, but for the most part, it's just a complete scam. I'll tell you this, in the UK, so you can go to university, and it costs, I think, for 4 years of university, it costs about £36,000, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's like £9,000 a year. And you can go and study business and learn business from a person who's never ran a business. And it just makes no sense to me.
True.
Like, there was one person I know, and they did it. They dropped out after about 2 years. And that one of the weeks, they spent a full week about how to set up a limited company. And setting up a limited company takes about 2 minutes to do. You literally Google, how do I set up a limited company? Click on the link, fill out the form. There, boom, your limited company's done. You don't need to spend a week and like £36,000 to learn that.
Yeah.
It's just a complete scam. It's absolute complete scam, the whole education system. If you want to be a doctor, if you want to be an architect, go to university then. But if you're going to study fucking gender studies or, business from someone who's never ran a business, it's what are you doing? I'm like, but it's just because people are conditioned to do that. Like, you need to get a higher education. I completely failed at school. Completely failed. Like, you look at all my grades. I mean, it's embarrassing how bad I did at school. But I'm more successful than most people. I'm not a millionaire, but I make decent money. And I live a good life. And I'm continuing growing my business. I've got like 3 companies that I run.
Nice.
Which is, I wouldn't recommend anyone to run 3 companies at the same time. Gets a bit chaotic at times, but it is what it is. But yeah, it's that lifestyle of, go to school, get a job, shut up, obey the law, pay your taxes, and then retire. It just doesn't work anymore. 50 years ago, it did. It was fine 50 years ago. The average household had 2 cars. The man was working, the wife stayed at home. And they live comfortably. They had a good life. Unfortunately, things like that have changed now. The way we operate has changed. Money has changed drastically now. It's like in the 70s, Roosevelt took the dollar off the gold standard, which made money debt. Essentially, it's complete. Money doesn't exist. It's complete, just absolute fabrication.
Yeah.
It's not actually work anything. But yeah, don't go to school. Go to school, but don't go to school if you just because that's what you're trying to do. learn other things. You can learn so much. You can learn so much for free online.
Yeah.
Listen to a podcast about business. Go watch YouTube videos. Go join a course. It's, as I said before this conversation, before we started the podcast, I had 14 failed businesses. 14
Whoa.
before I started making money. And that was down to my own kind of ignorance, that not down to the market. I have to take complete self accountability for that. It's because I was not accepting any guidance. I'll be able to do this on my own. I'll be able to figure it out on my own. And eventually, it's, I'm going to do some training around this. I bought a course in real estate, and now I've got a property business, so I control properties. I bought a course which you and I discussed beforehand, the real world, where I make money. I learn a lot about marketing. I'm pretty good at one thing. I've always been really good at sales.
Nice.
For years, I've been great at sales. It's kind of ingrained in me
Nice.
to be good at sales. I'm learning a lot about marketing now. I've got my marketing agency. Me and a business partner, we're starting a new business at the moment, a private healthcare referral agency, which is, so I'm just getting the website set up for that. But I didn't have to go to school to do all this.
Yeah.
I didn't have to get myself 36 grand in debt.
Yeah.
You don't need, just before we move on, there's one last kind of thing about this. In business school, they tell people, generally speaking, most businesses are in like a negative equity for like 4 years. They don't make any profit for like the first 4 years. I said, what kind of business
Yeah.
are you running if you're not
That's
making
true.
profit for 4 years?
That's true. Yeah.
It's like all my business, it's just completely, you can make money from the get-go. And that's it. You'd profit.
So
But yeah, that's it.
So you have absolutely true. You can listening podcast it. Listen, a live podcast is the best podcast. Live podcast is the new
Yes.
and is very good. So listen to this. But yes, you have absolutely true. Like the school is. I'm not good in school too. Like I was bad.
Mhm.
I was like bro. But like I knew I want more, and I knew yeah. School is a fate of
Yeah.
society. Of course, if you want to be doctor, engineer, or some architect, you can go. We need these
Yeah, like,
people. But bro, studying business or studying this kind of, sorry, not sorry, but you are stupid.
yeah, it's one of those things, unfortunately. It's engineering is a great industry. You make a lot of money, but you can learn AI. You can become an AI engineer. You don't need to go to university for that. You can make a lot of money in that.
I'm trying to
AI is a huge thing at
defending
the
school.
moment.
I'm trying to defend school, but yeah, you win.
It's what's great if you want to go into
Yeah.
like a profession, like engineering,
Yeah,
like normal
alright,
engineering,
yeah, alright, yeah.
doctor, things like that.
So
But it's what I found is most people most people who do bad at school end up being great entrepreneurs. That's kind of the way it is. But let's move on anyway.
So the next question is, why do you think so many people are afraid to start their own businesses?
A fear of failure. It's complete it. People are so fearful of falling flat on their face and worried about what people are going to say.
Mhm.
People are like, I told you couldn't do it. And it's like, that's one of the main things. People
Yeah.
are just terrified of failure. It is what it is.
So right now I want to talk about business in general. So my next question is, do you think anyone can be entrepreneurial, or it's not for everyone?
It's not for everyone, unfortunately. Anyone can do it. 99% won't, because it's just, you have to change your mindset. You have to understand how the world works. Most people are just conditioned to be an employee.
Yeah.
They're happy with that, and
Yeah.
God bless them if they're happy. They're happy. You're never going to make life-changing money. You're never going to make generational wealth
absolutely
as
not.
an employee.
Like I think they
some
are
people aren't willing to take
afraid
the risk.
made the mistakes, but it's wrong. This is the wrong. Do you know how many mistakes I make in my episodes? So many
Exactly.
mistakes, bro. But I'm keep doing that.
That's what we do. As I said, I have 14 failed businesses. Most people would have gave up after 2. Then I had 14. Then I had my first successful one. Then my second one. Then my third one. I've got 3 decent companies running now because I learned from my mistakes from the first 14.
Yeah. So why do you think many people criticize entrepreneurs and people who talk about money?
Yeah. So one of my favorite sayings is, stop taking advice from broke people. Stop taking advice from broke people. Stop taking financial advice from broke people. People always, I said before the podcast, people always told me, just why don't you just get a normal job? You'll live a lot less stressful
Yeah,
life.
yeah, that's true.
Well, I just can't, it's one of those things, some people can be entrepreneurs, some people can't, it's everyone can, but not everyone will, because not everyone is willing to accept the fact that we've been wrong our entire lives. What we've been taught is not true. And people just don't want to admit that because that means that they were wrong. And it's like, just be humble enough to accept I've been wrong
Yeah.
about this because I've been conditioned this way. Okay, let's find a different path, and that's when you can kind of open your journey. Once you open your mind, you can just open your journey then.
Yeah, and it's absolutely true. You need to admit you are wrong, and after that, you can achieve anything you want.
Mhm.
So,
100%, it's.
so I want to talk about money.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
do you think the education system should teach more about money and businesses?
They should do. They intentionally don't. That's the thing, but people don't realize, because I can go to school and I can learn about the cells of a leaf from a tree, but they won't teach me about mortgages. They won't teach me about debt.
Yeah.
They won't teach me about finance. They won't teach me about investments, but they'll teach me, for some reason, again, I always go back to it, the cells of a leaf in science class, which, like, how is that going to help me in a real world? How
That's
is
true.
that thing going to help me in a real
That's
world?
true.
It's unfortunately, it's intentionally designed like
Yeah.
that. They know what they're doing. The governments, the higher ups, they intentionally do it because they want people to be good slaves. They want
Yeah.
you to get a job, keep your mouth shut, don't argue against the system, pay your
Yeah,
taxes,
that's true.
and that's it. They should do, but they don't.
So, my next question about right now, I want to talk about social media. Social media, because I think it's a big part of what we are doing. So,
Oh yeah.
my first question about this is social media helping young entrepreneurs or distracting them?
It depends on how they do it, how they approach it. So if you have a look at my social media, whether it's I mainly use X,
Yeah.
Twitter, I love it.
Best.
It's for me the best one. It's we're at a point in X now, Twitter, where it's you'll see somebody, they'll write a post using AI, and then somebody will comment on that post using AI, and we've lost some human interaction.
Yeah.
Now it's just AI talking to AI, and it's just I'm just scrolling through Twitter, and it's like, this is written by this very dead giveaways.
Mhm.
I mean, you can use AI to polish up your tweet, that's fine, but don't reply to a comment using AI.
Yeah.
If you genuinely sit there and have conversations with people on Twitter, you're going to build your network.
Yeah.
If you're doing it to show off, if you're just using Twitter to brag, you're not.
Mhm.
People just help people. People help me at the beginning. I help people now. I have many people with DMs. I have so many people trying to sell me a service in DMs, and they're not good at sales. So I'll just generally help them with the. I'm like, I'm not interested in buying your service. I'll help you with the sales side of it, though, because you're not doing well. Because I speak to people like they're humans, and that's the kind of right. If social media is a very powerful
Yes,
tool
correct.
if you use it right. If you're doing it to try and give absolute nonsensical advice, which is just written by AI, it's never going to work for you. I've got, I think, 1,100 followers or something on Twitter because I just talk normal. I'm not afraid to go against what I'm saying. I'll speak out about money. I'll speak out about the government, and I'll say it from me, not from AI. And that's the thing. I speak in a human way, which is why people follow me, because I'll always give advice. I'll always give tips, about finance, about business. Yeah, if you use it right, then you'll be fine.
Do you think too many people today want to win without a little work?
Yeah. So everyone wants to be successful. Nobody wants to put the work in. And that's the issue.
That's true.
It's
That's true.
everyone wants, like, they want to start like a copywriting agency and then be driving a Lamborghini in 3 months' time. And it's like, brother, that is not how the real world works. It's real life doesn't work like that. It's hard work. It's endless hours. People, I live a pretty good life, but what people don't see is me up at 2 a.m. lying in bed while my girlfriend is asleep next to me, and I'm lying in bed with my laptop open, drawing a contract
Yeah.
up for this
Yeah.
for this new property, new investment, whatever it may be. People don't see the work that I put in. the 80, 90 hours a week every week.
And I think this is I out of Andrew Tate. I think Andrew Tate is good,
Mhm.
but
Yeah, yeah.
I think he misunderstands speed. I think he say wrong message about speed, because like if he says speed, everybody thinks it need to be done like 3 days, everything. So
Mhm.
and I think this is the wrong for the young people, 18 19, because they are saying if Andrew Tate says speed, it needs to be speed, but they are not
Mhm.
thinking like speed like 3 months, 4 months. They think speed like 3 weeks.
Yeah. It's people underestimate the work that goes into it. I mean, that video with Andrew Tate's talking about speed, I've watched it several times. To an extent, he is correct, but as you said, to a lot, he's not as well. It's an example of what he's giving an example of something, but it's an example doesn't necessarily apply in real life a lot of the time. It's like the website I'm building at the moment for like the private healthcare referral agency. That's going to take 6 months before we make it, before we start making any money. Just due to the nature of it, because it runs on SEO. It's got to be trust from Google. It's going to take a long time, and it's going to be like 300 pages, just the kind of the nature of the industry. But people like think, oh yeah, I'll put a website up and then I start making
Yeah.
money. I was like, brother, no,
No.
it takes time.
Yeah.
I can do as much as I can on the speed side, but it takes time now.
Yeah.
It's still going to take
That's true.
time.
Yeah, and it's true. And some even us sometimes we want to be quickest. Even with us, like
Yeah.
sometimes it's hard for us too to wait. So
Yeah.
next, I want to talk about a community. About a community is
Mhm.
because you have a community. You have.
I do.
So why did you decide to create a elite entrepreneurs community?
Yeah. So elite entrepreneurs it all stemmed from Twitter, where there were so many people saying, like, on Twitter, I was like, yeah, like if you want to make 10,000, like I make $10,000 a month. It's always that exact figure, $10,000. For some reason, nobody ever makes a penny more. It's magical. I make $10,000 a month. How? Blah, blah, blah. And they just give very generic advice, which they've just got from AI. And it's like, stop fucking lying,
Yeah,
Ken.
yeah,
Stop
yeah,
lying. Be honest. So I created the group, Elite Entrepreneurs, to be a network for people who are starting off, because for most of the time, you're not getting the good advice off Twitter. It's just people just trying to brag or trying to get followers. So I created it, where in the actual group, it's like there's a subsection for social media, there's a section for property, there's a section for cold email outreach, finding your first clients. If you're new into entrepreneurs, and you are welcome to that group, because it's got more experienced members like myself. It's got experienced members like other people in there, who know the industry. I'll give you a quick example. There was a guy who was starting out in property. And so I was kind of explaining to him about ways to make money in property without actually owning property. Whether it's through like rent to service accommodation, whether it's through packaging and selling deals, which you can make a lot of money. And so he was unsure about like contracts and stuff, because it's quite like obviously legally with properties, you need to get involved in the legal side. And so I've got all my own contracts. So I sent him my contracts, and I was like, just remove my company name, remove my name, put your company on it,
yeah,
put your name on it. You've got now a legally binding contract. You didn't need to pay £2,000 for a solicitor to draw that contract up. You know, this is the whole point of it. It's people helping people with nothing in return. There's a number one rule in that group, which is nobody sells anything to anyone. That's not what this is about. It's not about making money from each other. It's about
yeah,
helping each other.
and I think if you are a good person and you make good for other people, you receive way too good for yourself. So be good person,
Yeah.
because karma is real. Karma is
Yeah. Huh?
very real.
Oh, very much so.
So I have last two questions for you. The
Mhm.
what is the one harsh truth about winning the most people don't want to hear?
That you have to put the work in, that you have to fail. Nobody starts a business and just make success of it.
Yeah,
It's just not the It's not life, you know. I'm sure there's the odd one person that's done it in the past, but in the real world, you know, it's just that you have to fail, you know. You have to lose money at times. You have to fail. We don't make a success from making money. We make success from learning from our
Yeah,
mistakes
that's true.
and then applying that. But yeah, the biggest harsh truth is most people aren't willing to fail. They're too embarrassed. They feel like they're going to be embarrassed.
But like
And
you
I've
you,
talked about it. Yeah.
you need to fight. You need to fail.
Yeah.
You need to fail because like
Yeah.
bro, like everything is happen from failure. And this is the wrong about our schools. They teach do not fail. You
hmm
cannot fail. Fail is bad. It's bad.
The funniest thing about school is they teach you can't, like if you take an example, you can't copy other people's work. That's cheating. I'm sorry. No.
No.
In business, you copy other
Yeah.
people's success.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how we make money. It's like, I didn't know anything about rent to service accommodation. So I took a course on it and just copied what other people did. And guess what? It worked. I didn't cheat. I just
Yeah.
copied success.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with copying. You
Nothing.
know, nothing wrong with it.
Nothing. So the last question is, what advice would you give to young people who want to become business owners and entrepreneurs today?
First off, if you want to make money, learn about money. Learn actually what money is. Don't just assume like, oh, it's that dollar, it's worth like $1 then. No, understand money, you know, because you can chase all the money, but if you don't understand it or how to use it as a tool, because at the end of the day, money is a tool, you know, to get things, and money is a tool to make more money. You know, there's a great book. I recommend two books for anyone, which is a very famous one, which is Rich Dad Poor Dad by
It's
Robert
the best
Kiyosaki.
book. I have this book.
Incredible book.
I have this
Yeah.
book, bro. It's the best
It's
book.
incredible.
Yeah.
Completely changed my life, that
Yeah.
book. The way I see money, now the way I operate with money. I use money as a tool. I use debt as leverage,
Yeah.
you know. And the second book it's a book from, I think it's the 1930s. It is. There's a very famous marketer called Rory Sutherland, and he recommended the book, and it's called, bear with me 1 second. That's it. It's called Obvious Adams,
Nice.
which is, it's Robert Updegraff, I think it is, wrote it. It's from like the 1940s. It's this young kid who was a marketer, and he did things so obvious that it was so obvious that no one else saw it. And it's like the basic things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he made millions and millions of pounds from doing things in business that are so obvious. People try to do things very complex
Yeah.
in business. I'm like, just look for the obvious thing. I'll give you one example before I wrap up. One of them is like when I'm doing a website, right? So I'm building my website at the moment, and I've checked out the competition, and the competition is, so I'm going to be doing a website for like people suffering with alcoholism, you know, and addiction as well. And then so the companies, the referral sites, they are like, okay, so we'll make it like all about the clinical side of things. Like, this is what happens in rehab. This is what happens in a detox. And to me, it's like the obvious thing, when someone is at 2 a.m. and they're scared because the amount that they're drinking, they're not going to want to know about the clinical side of things. They're going to want to know that somebody else actually understands it, you know, what is going on. They want to, so the obvious thing to me was write to them like you're speaking to them like a human, you know, get them to understand their kind of pain. You know, it's PAS framework with copywriting, and that's the most obvious thing to me. Everyone thinks the obvious thing is to write about the clinical side, but it's not. It's to write about the pain that they're going through, you know, and then offer a solution to it.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
this was it. Thank you. This was this go way
it's been great, man.
great way to end this conversation. Danny, thank you for coming on the live podcast.
Anytime.
Thank you. And if you enjoy this conversation, make sure to subscribe this channel. And if you want to go deeper a conversation and bonus content, you can find it on Hero Hero. Link is in the description. So yeah, thank you guys, and I see you in the next live episode. Bye guys.
Okay. Bye.